Hello everyone, how's it going? So I spent 5 hours playing Marathon, and the short of it is that I actually enjoy it. I'm really shocked about how they were able to pull this off. Now look, Marathon has an uphill battle. Right now live service games are incredibly toxic. A lot of people don't want them anymore. Extraction shooters also the same thing. It's an uphill battle. You can pull in arc raiders, but it takes a very surgical level precision. Do I think this is going to be as good as arc raiders? I don't know. I never played arc raiders, but uh, I'm coming to this game with very low expectations. I didn't like the art style, don't like the genre. Not a fan of multiplayer games, but I decided to give it a shot because it's free during this time period. I think until March 2nd on all platforms. I gave it a shot, and according to the Steam chart numbers, people are also like sticking around with this game. And honestly, I can see why. Like, I didn't like anything about this title, and yet the art style, it 180 for me. Like, I was like, oh, now I see why people like this. Like, I love the presentation, I love the art direction, I love the design, I love the use of lighting in this game is insane. They used the mixture of anti-real style. Yeah, this game, I'll get more into that later, but anti-real style mixed with the lighting and the level design of this game is absolutely brilliant. It's really well done, and I actually love it. But like I said, this game has an uphill battle because first and foremost, the plagiarism issue. Basically, the team, like, they had a scapegoat, but most of these people followed the anti-real, and we can't ignore it. The fact that this was a stolen art style, and they settled their dispute under closed door agreement, so we probably will never know what exactly happened. They likely just paid the person to just deal with it and try and move forward from it. Regardless, it was a bad look for them. Let's face it, Bungie has a long history of doing this. Not to mention their reputation is in the toilet. Destiny 2 is in the toilet. Like, they really need a hit right now, especially considering Sony is tightening their purse strings and they're not looking very happy about everything that's happening with the Concord situation, their live services canceling left and right. This is basically something that really needs to work for them. And I think Marathon does have promise. Look, I'm not the biggest person when it comes to multiplayer games. I stick to single player nowadays. I used to be hardcore into multiplayer, but if they can get someone like me to enjoy this game, I think they can get a casual audience to invest in this title. The other thing is that I know a lot of people say the $40 price tag is a big selling point when it comes to whether people decide to buy this or not. I disagree. If a game is good enough, people will pay the price for it. Look at Overwatch. When it first launched, $60 multiplayer only game, people still bought it because it was a good game. And same thing for Arc Raiders. You make a good game, people will buy it. And I don't think $40 is a steep asking price for a game like this. That usually depends on whether you like, if you like extraction shooters and you like that high of extracting with valuable loot while also having the risk that you'll lose everything, I think you're really going to enjoy that game because that's really the center focus here. But what's the story of why you're doing this? Well, the story is basically the Marathon, which is a colony ship, was sent out in order to colonize another world. 100 years have passed and they hadn't heard a peep from it. No one knew what happened, and then suddenly a distress signal is heard from the Marathon after 100 years of nothing, telling people to come to this colony. And then when you arrive, you're a runner. Basically, you're in a shell, similar to the movie, the show Altered Carbon or the movie Surrogate. Basically, it's a robotic body where you can transfer your consciousness into it. And if you die, there's no consequence. You literally just transform back. Basically, you are immortal. Like, immortal for a price. You do get charged for this. Companies obviously going to make money off this shit, but regardless, that's your job. You're here to go to that colony and see what exactly is happening. You'll take contracts from the various factions that will employ you, similar to like Armored Core 6. Like, this game, if I were to compare them to if I were to combine them into two games, it would be Armored Core 6 and System Shock. So basically, that's your entire stick here. You're here to take contracts, find out what happened, and you are fighting other runners who are doing the same. Everyone's here to just make a buck. You'll extract resources from the environment, and then you'll repeat the loop over and over again. As for the 6 factions that they give you, you have the default faction, which serves as your primary AI, and then you have the other 5 factions, which have their own themes and ideals, whether it's like the advancement of humanity through pharmaceuticals and food, someone who is anti-capitalist, anti-imperialism. You have one that is extremely technological to the point that it views humanity as just kind of a stepping stone, and the next step is basically a synergy of mechanics and AI, but to the most extreme factor, on and on so forth. And the way they settle the lore is basically similar to Destiny, where you have to go into a menu with another menu, complete challenges, then you unlock more information about what's going on. I will say that the cutscenes in this game, each time you complete a contract, you get more information about that section that you are being employed by, are well done. Like, they're really cool. I really like them. The voice acting is done extremely well. The sound design in this game is absolutely fantastic. Like, some of the best wind sounds. I know it seems like a trivial thing, but the sound of wind, the plastic little doorways, everything about this game sounds incredible. But yeah, and the contracts you take on are basic challenges. I think they could have been a little more creative with it, but I guess because this is a primarily P versus E extraction shooter, I don't think they can be that wild with it. Like, one of the challenges involved me shooting out glass windows, and I'm just like, why? But yeah, I had to do it because I had to complete the challenge. You also get rewards in the way of resources. Now, the resources you get are your standard weapons, armor, modifications, items that you sell for credits, and of course, you also get specialized equipment that you can earn from completing challenges. If you kill another player, which is a runner, you can get their equipment. If you get downed, you could crawl on the floor in order to avoid cover, but if you're shot and killed permanently, you can still be revived, but you'll only get the most baseline equipment available. You'll have to scavenge for new equipment, so death carries major consequence. You lose everything in your inventory, and whoever's there can just loot it off your body. This also goes for the NPCs within the world. There are these robots employed by the military corporation within Marathon, and they'll shoot you on sight. Now, the robots are no joke. They may look like I can't remember the robot from Apex Legends, but basically they look like that. They come in different variants, such as stealth models, heavy models, so on, and they come in aggressive tiers. Like, tier 1 is the baseline you'll find at the beginning of the match. They're still formidable, but you can still take them on relatively easily. But then you have the very strong ones, which will just decimate an entire team, no problem, and you should take them seriously no matter how you look at them. You can also use them to your advantage if another team is fighting them. And yeah, like, ultimately, it is just about you trying to get as many resources as possible while also managing your inventory, your ammo count, because each gun uses a certain type of ammo, whether you want to take a certain gun and risk losing it. For example, sniper rifles are extremely rare, which I think is the best idea to handle rifles. I only saw one player who had one, and yeah, you risk losing it if you want to take it on, but you have a serious advantage against players who don't have it. So eventually you'll just start getting contracts, getting cutscenes, and completing these challenges in order to learn more about the world. As you advance your character, you'll get more powerful equipment, and if you happen to lose everything during a run, there are these things called sponsor packages. Basically, these are default class options. You can't customize them. They're literally just default classes. Like, think of like the beginning classes for Call of Duty multiplayer mode, whatever, pick your choice of game, and you get a standard loadout that you can use when you want to go into a match. Now, when it comes to the combat, obviously more higher rarity weapons are better than the ones that you get as a default sponsor package. There are different tiers of sponsor packages that you can buy with credits, but it doesn't mean that you're completely defenseless. You can still very much beat a player who has high rarity weapons. I did it with the most default baseline sponsor package that's free within the game, so you still have a fighting chance. This game does encourage communication, cooperative play. I know a lot of people say, well, duh, this is a cooperative extraction shooter, but yeah, I don't see a lot of people having fun playing this solo. There is a class you can pick where you can queue in solo, which basically the skin that the shell that you're walking in is a default shell with no special abilities. It just has the most baseline skills possible. But yeah, this game, you have to play with a team. It's just how it's built. As for the shells themselves, I think they're very well done. Each one has distinct abilities and talents, such as defensive, offense, healing, recon, and so forth. Now, this game's mobility system is much more simplified. Basically, you have a Heaton meter, which is a stamina meter, and it dictates how far you can run, jump, slide. Some characters have a double jump, but each one increases your Heaton, and when it reaches max, you can't do any mobility skills until it decreases to 0, or you can just wait for it to decrease midway and still have access to your mobility skills. So you really have to manage that very well. Now, what I really love about the heating system, even though I'm not a fan of stamina meters, is how the weather is integrated into this. So if it's raining, it actually reduces the amount of heat that your shell generates. And if you go into a pool of water, it also decreases it quicker. So there's like 3 arrows for raining, 1 hour if you're just in a puddle. So it's a really cool mechanic that they can use the weather system like that. Like if they decide to add snow, they can make it that it decreases even faster, making everyone basically run around with no heating generated, or make it that there's an extremely hot map where everything is generated by 15% increase. Like a lot of that stuff is really cool. The abilities yourself are your standard affair, like pulse radar that sends out signals of their enemy threats around you. The ability to shoot grenades from far away, generate shields. Grenades are specialized. You have to get that from the equipment. Some players have better skills than others. You know how it is. It's basically just the ability system. Now, in terms of perks, you do gain new perks the more you invest into a faction. It's not just contracts and resources, but certain perks can only be obtained by investing more time with that organization. You also have to collect certain resources in order to increase certain perks. So you don't just join and complete contracts. There are systems that do affect the gameplay in that way. As for the cosmetics, you have your banner, emblem, different skins for weapons. They're your standard affair. Just expect like a lot of the primary color system that the game is using within its landscape. And as for the shooting is good. Like, can't complain. It's literally, it feels like Destiny 2. Not really anything to walk home about. It's well done, executed. Nothing really spectacular about it. Actually, I actually really like the way that they use the different, weapon options. Like some weapons have different sights and visors, which I like. I don't know, I know Call of Duty and other games do this, but I don't know, I like the way that they're designed, like the way that they operate. It just clicks for me very well. But ultimately, I think Marathon does have a lot of potential. So once you get the resources you want, you do have a time limit for each map. The next thing you do is go to an extraction point. That's how you leave the map. If you don't do it within a certain time frame, you basically die. There is like a grace period. Basically, when you reach the timer to 0, you have 60 seconds to get to an extraction point, which all opens throughout the entire map. So it's kind of like a Hail Mary, get to this extraction point, this is your last chance. But there are 2 different types of extraction points. There are uncompetitive ones and ones that are guarded. So the uncompetitive ones, basically you just trigger them, you wait for the duration until they turn on, then you have 10 seconds to get into the ring, and then you extract. If you're down, you can still extract even if you're down. If they're guarded, basically the military robots will come down and try and kill you before you can extract. So that's kind of how it works. And once you extract, everything is tallied up, and you decide what you're going to take and what you're going to sell. Everything is stored in a vaulting system. The vault is where you put your most precious items. It's finite, but if you have a gun or item that you don't want to take with you, you can just put it into the vault. That's it. It stays there, and yeah, that's basically it. I think Marathon does have potential. I think it does everything that it sets out to do. It's not mediocre in the sense that it's not like with High Guard or Concord, where those games were either mediocre or just boring and bad. I played High Guard to almost near completion. I played, only about 3 matches of Concord during the open beta, but regardless, those games were boring, whereas this game is actually fun and enjoyable and actually does. But I do think that this game has a chance of succeeding. Listen to the community who like this style of game and try and develop your game further with that. In terms of the story, which is something I'm interested in, maybe they can make it a little easier to digest in the way that make it easier to access, maybe a dedicated tab when it comes to lore dumps, because the menu system, look, I hate the cursor system that everyone seems to use since Destiny. Make a system that works with controllers effectively, and if a person wants to use the cursor system, you know, they're on PC, they have a mouse. Like, you guys need to stop with this whole cursor thing when it comes to using with controllers. It sucks. Be more intuitive when it comes to that stuff. But I think they should make it a little easier, just make a dedicated section with lore that's easier to find. And yeah, I think Marathon does have a shot if they play their cards right. I don't think the game is as bad as we were expecting, and I think people who do experience it may enjoy it a lot more than they were expecting. Like I said, I came into this game with extremely low expectations. I thought it was going to be another High Guard where it was just the most bare bones mediocre experience possible, but ultimately I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought it would. But you know, if you don't want to take my word for it, the game is free right now on all major platforms during the open beta. Try it out for yourself. And unlike High Guard, there is no like huge tutorial. There is one, but it's a very well done opening cutscene that just eases you into the mechanics. Like, this is how you do it. You literally have something interesting happen while incorporating the lore and the mechanics, so you learn all the systems while actively engaging with the game. Something that High Guard should have done. Maybe it probably wouldn't have had so many people quit during the tutorial. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Marathon. I enjoyed it. I think it's worth checking out. And yeah, that's it from me. Goodbye. Have a good day.